Hey guys, welcome back to the Silver Motion. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for all your support in my last video. It seems like our small family is slowly growing, and I am very happy to be able to share my love for movies and TV shows with you guys. I was reviewing my last video, and I actually came up with a pretty cool game for those of you who are legally able to play it. Every time I say the word truly, take a shot. Yeah, do that. And then tell me how the night went. Now, today we are going to be talking about The Last of Us, but first, a word from our sponsor. Word. Alright, I know I'm a little bit late to this one, but here it is. Season 1 of The Last of Us ended, and it seems the general consensus is that the show was great. Well, I'm here to tell you that I might have liked it even more than most people. I literally just finished watching all 9 episodes for the second time, and I've come up with a solid top 3 episodes. It is worth mentioning that once I decided on the top 3, I went ahead and rewatched all of those 3 episodes, just so that I could get them in order. This is honestly a show I enjoyed a lot, and I'll have no problem revisiting it once more right before season 2 comes out. I do want to mention a couple of things before we get to it. The first is that even though I am a huge fan of the video game, I will be looking at this more from the perspective of an original TV show and not taking into consideration the fact that it's based on a video game, mainly because my opinion on the comparison is simple. The TV show pretty much took some of the best and greatest parts of the video game and it translated them to the screen perfectly, or literally, and then they added their own spin and small little details here and there, which I truly enjoyed. And then the second thing I wanted to add is that there's one single honorable mention in this video. Initially, I wasn't going to have any honorable mentions, but I had a very hard time deciding between 2 episodes to make it to number 3. But after thinking and rewatching and watching and rewatching and changing my mind and going back and forth, I finally came up with my honorable mention and my top 3. So here it is, my honorable mention. Episode 7, Left Behind. For those of you who need a little recap, this is the one episode in which Joel is badly wounded and tells Ellie to go and pretty much continue without him, which would most certainly mean leaving him to die. So Ellie is faced with an incredibly tough decision to make. Before making said decision, we are gifted with a flashback in which we get a glimpse into Ellie's life before the events of the TV show, and we get to find out about not only her first love, but also all that took place during their last night together. This is probably the most magical episode of the season. The whole set design and atmosphere is definitely made to hit you with a hefty dose of nostalgia, especially with an instrumental version of the song Just Like Heaven by The Cure. Now, I'm not going to, stand here and pretend that I'm like the biggest, I don't know what was that, probably my cat. Hope he's arrived. I'm not gonna be here pretending that I'm like the greatest The Cure fan in history, but when I hear The Cure, I recognize it. And for those of you who are true The Cure fans, here I come with some blasphemy. I think this version of the song encapsulates the spirit of the original even better than the original. I said it. All right, moving on. Now, for real, it's just a beautiful melody to immerse yourself into. One of my favorite things about this episode is how immature, crazy, and irresponsible these kids are. They leave past the walls of their town under penalty of death, I believe. They get all drunk, jump from roof to roof, make a ton of noise that keeps us, the audience, thinking, please stop being so freaking loud, only to end up lighting up a whole mall. Totally nuts, and it almost makes you think for a second if they're dumb, but we already know these young ladies are far from dumb, and everything they're doing is simply kid stuff in their world. Something very important to take into consideration is that these kids were raised, if not born and raised, in a world full of zombies, violence. That's their life. That's all they know. So when you put it into perspective and see how kids act in our world, it's just the same crazy and irresponsible stuff we used to do as kids. Some of us still do some irresponsible shit here and there, but I mean, who's judging? So yeah, just think of what kids in our world do. How they'll play tag and run into a highway, ignoring the fact that a car can hit and kill them. How they'll climb up a tree, not thinking they could fall and break their back.
By that, your back is broken. What, a vertebrae or what portion? Spinal.
But yeah, that cool perspective that they show us of how kids are in that world, and also the whole atmosphere, the set design, and the powerful ending in which Ellie turns around and takes charge of the situation, staying with Joel and saving his life. Well, definitely one of my favorite episodes of the season. And now we're moving on to the top 3. And on number 3 we have Episode 5, Endure and Survive. I remember arguing about Bella Ramsey being the right choice to play Ellie. I truly didn't think she looked the part whatsoever, and I wasn't very sure about how she was going to play the character, while I never had a doubt about Pedro Pascal. I knew he would be just fine. His abilities as an actor are incredible, and I never had a doubt about that guy. But yeah, it's sad to say that I truly wasn't looking forward to Ramsey's portrayal. And then I watched the first episode. And just like that, I was happy because I knew she'd be just fine. But it is in episode 5 where I was really, and I mean really, impressed by her abilities to convey emotion, especially in one moment.
What did I do? Son, give me the gun. Give me the gun. Give me the gun. Give me the gun. Oh, God.
As an actor, that has to be very hard to deliver. This subtle but immense shock, this sadness. It's like the way that we can see that she will never be the same after that with a single expression. This is the main reason this episode is up here at number 3. Other reasons? How about how well Ramsey and Pascal work with Lamar Johnson, who portrays Henry, and very young actor Kayvan Montreal Woodward, who portrays Henry's younger brother, Sam. Their interactions are filled with some wonderful dialogue and some spectacular action scenes. By the way, how about Joel's sniper mode scene and how he's pretty much reading where and how Ellie is going to move and protecting her, taking down zombie after zombie. All that, the horde, the bloater, all of that makes this episode one of, if not the most complete episode of the season when it comes to what we want out of the series. Emotional moments, we got him. Great dialogue, we got him. Action, we got it. Zombies, all sizes and shapes, we got them all. Alright, now we are going to move to number 2. And we have episode 3, Long Time. This episode was a gift from beginning to end. It's truly been a while since I got so invested in a single episode of any TV show. The reason this episode is in my top 2 is the same reason it didn't make it to top 1. So I guess it's a blessing and a curse. This is the only episode of the whole season that truly stands alone. I mean, to put it in simple words, you could have made a movie, and I would have loved the movie just as much as I did love this episode. You could have given us no context at all and just show us this episode as a single movie, which, by the way, the episode, it clocks in at about an hour and a half. I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, you could have just made this movie and it would have been fucking incredible still. We would have still loved it. It's so great as a standalone, but at the same time, when it comes to how it falls in the entirety of the series, It's just not as complete as other episodes. What can I say about Nick Offerman's portrayal of Bill that hasn't been said yet? The whole setup is so cool. How we see this guy, who is obviously not a big fan of people at all, react to the end of society as we know it. Not only does the show brilliantly display how Bill was completely ready for this moment, I'm pretty sure it's also suggested that Bill not only prepared for it, he kind of wished for it. This is a 1 in 10 million humans, in the sense that he actually thrives in this world. He's truly not only living perfectly alone, the guy's enjoying himself. But we can also notice he is one of those people who seems happy, but is he really? There is a difference between being okay and being actually happy. Bill is shown to be extremely intelligent, talented, very handy, and overall a very practical man. Someone who can not only survive, but live perfectly fine on his own. I think of people often and how each one of us is a puzzle. Some of us go our entire lives trying to put the pieces together and finding the missing pieces. For some, it could be their dream house, their dream job. For others, it could be a dog, a cat, a best friend. And for some very lucky ones, finding the missing piece means finding the love of their life. Enter Frank. Frank is played by Murray Bartlett, and I gotta say, this guy impressed the heck out of me. Bill has all sorts of traps set around the camp, and from the moment Frank falls in one of them, I started begging Bill to please put a bullet in the guy's face ASAP, because I didn't trust him at all. It takes me a while to believe he means no harm to our man Bill, but when the moment finally comes and you realize that Frank is the missing piece of the puzzle for Bill, well, let's just say it doesn't matter what your preferences are, we all fall in love with Frank, and especially his ability to peel layer after layer of Bill's character over the years until the true tender soul of Bill is in full display at the very end of the episode. All they go through together, how they're able to build a beautiful life in the middle of a broken world, and just how much they love each other until the very end.
Why are there already pills in the bottle? Enough to kill a horse. This isn't the tragic suicide at the end of the play. I'm old. I'm satisfied. And you were my purpose. I do not support this. I should be furious. But from an objective point of view, it's incredibly romantic.
There's no doubt that everything that happens in the scene is, in Frank's own words, incredibly romantic. But man, I gotta say, the moment that really grabbed my heart, because it is so subtle, you might have even missed it. It's when they show that after all of those years, Bill never fixed the trap in which Frank fell into. To me, that has so much meaning and so much emotional weight that I am simply going to leave it at that and let you guys come to your own conclusions when it comes to why Bill never fixed that one trap. Alright, family, and here we go to number 1. Episode 9, Look for the Light. I understand that you might be surprised by this one, especially since everyone expected a longer episode at the end of the season, me included. But the fact that I expected a longer episode does not mean I wasn't happy with what this 45 minutes-ish episode had to offer. But honestly, happy is an understatement because this is my favorite episode of the season. Now, why do I love this episode so much? Because just in a few minutes, we learn what I believe are some of, if not the most important key elements of both Ellie and Joel's personalities. You get to see who they truly are, who they really are for each other. Ellie pretty much tells Joel who she is and why she needs to see this through, why they need to get this done.
Everything I've done. It can't be for nothing. I know you mean well. I know you want to protect me. You have.
But she also tells him that once they're done, she will follow him anywhere.
And when we're done, we'll go wherever you want. Tommy's, Sheep Ranch, the moon. I'll follow you anywhere you go.
Later in the episode, Joel takes a moment to tell her about the guy who shot him near his ear, only for him to finally open up and explain that the guy who shot and missed was himself. Since he had no reason to continue living without his daughter in this world. And then this exchange happens.
Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this
I
is...
know why you're telling me all this.
Yeah, I reckon you do.
So time heals all wounds, I guess.
It wasn't time that did it.
Just like that, with Ellie telling him she'll follow him to the moon, and with him telling her it wasn't time that heal him, it was Ellie that did it. We are shown that they both accepted that now they are family. She is his daughter and he is her father. A father who would stop at nothing to save his daughter's life. Which takes me to the next scene at the hospital after Joel is pretty much told that Ellie will die during surgery in order for the doctors to get what they need to find a possible cure for the virus. Now, when Joel is shown to be killing all of the people in the hospital, the show makes a point to show you that he doesn't even blink when he shoots. And it reminded me of how soldiers are trained. They are trained not to see a human on the other side. When it comes to the enemy, they're trained to see a target. That's what you hear. You hear target down instead of I killed him or she's dead. For my limited understanding of the subject, please correct me if I'm wrong. Just let me know in the comments if I'm wrong here. I'm pretty sure this is done to lift some of the psychological burden that it is for a human to shoot another human. Here we can see that Joel has been indirectly trained the same way a soldier is trained, but instead of being boot camp, it was life itself that trained him to become like this. Someone who, when given a single objective, in this case saving Ellie's life, he turns into this unstoppable killing machine. This is one of the moral questions of the show, this decision. Do I save her, or do I let them kill her for a chance to save humanity? Well, we're calling it a decision, but no decision was made. This was completely irrational and totally compulsive. For him, it was like asking the question, do I breathe or do I stop breathing? That's a question that needs no answer. When you think about it, the simplest and most primal instinct we have is survival. One of the very few things that will override that instinct is the survival of the people that we love the most. We will risk our own lives to save theirs. In my opinion, This is what keeps the world moving forward. This is why our society isn't pure chaos. It is because of the love we feel for those close to us. Not only do we want to better ourselves for them, we want them to do better than us. We want to leave a better world behind for them once we're gone. I believe we've made it this far because of love and the selfish drive to keep our own safe. We do it for them, but we also do it for ourselves because they are all we got. They are all that matters. They are us. So Joel wasn't just saving Ellie, he was saving himself, falling back into what it means to be human. Because at the end of it all, who are we but the ones we love?